Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Player Zone channel. And it feels like I've smashed out about 3 of these in the last week, but we've had so much Premier League football. We are once again back for the Premier League predictions for match week 32. A massive weekend of Premier League action. The title race is absolutely heating up. We've got key games at the bottom of the table, teams trying to escape the drop zone, 2 relegation candidates facing off as well. So it's going to be very, very exciting. In terms of our predictions last time out, though, I did pathetic. Only got the 4 correct results. No scorelines correct, which adds to our 185 points coming into the midweek fixtures. Now takes us to 189 of our prediction points. If you're somehow new here in Matchweek 32 and wondering how the point system works, it is 3 points for the correct scoreline, 1 point for the correct result, and obviously 0 for neither. So looking to have a bit of a bounce back this weekend with some of the action here. I'm going to preface by saying these are a bit of a shorter predictions because I've had a tough time trying to turn around so far. So not as in-depth, but I hope you enjoy them nonetheless. Let's get straight into the predictions. Starting first in South London, it's Crystal Palace hosting Manchester City. A key game for City as they need to keep winning as they're coming from behind here in this title race. For Crystal Palace, though, it's been interesting. In times we've seen Oliver Glasman's style of football really show they've been compact and hard to beat at times, but haven't really had any real success with it yet. Without a win in their last 4 games, struggled in key moments, but have been competitive, so it's good signs there. It's probably not the right game to try and test what Oliver Glasner's all about here versus Manchester City, but at home you never know. Man City, with the big stars in, haven't quite beaten the races, so if they go and field their strongest side, you might be able to catch them off guard. But we saw what they did to Aston Villa, rotational side, Alvarez in there, Phil Foden taking over as the main man with his hat-trick in there as well. Obviously, you've got Ortega and goal, performed great in there. Oscar Bob as well. Rico Lewis, I'm pretty sure, played as well. So a lot of youngsters playing, but they still got the job done. A convincing win over Aston Villa, 4-1. That's what we expect from City in the back end of the season, that type of football. And when you're resting De Bruyne, you're resting Haaland, I expect these superstars to come back and make a statement here in this game here. Both sort of underperforming for their extremely high levels, so I expect them to come back in this game here and put Crystal Palace to the sword. Their 5-back system they've got, it's going to have a lot of emphasis on the central midfielders in front to try and keep that nice and compact, not allow City to waltz through the midfield area and put pressure on that 5 at the back. You want to have it almost as a 7-back with the 5 defenders, Wharton and Hughes or Lerma in there as the 2 in front of the centre-back 3 being very compact and sort of make it a back 7 and prevent City from having those little gaps between the midfield and back line because that's how they get the best of teams. Obviously for Man City, again, it's targeting Foden and Bernardo Silva, these 2 that are outside of Haaland and De Bruyne, let them create, let them do the hard work. And for Crystal Palace, it's all about being clinical when you get the opportunities. Look at Eze, he's had a lot of great performances in the last 3 games, which he's been back, but has not been clinical enough front of goal. So he's got to be clinical for them to have any chance of winning this game here. With it all being said, I've got City winning this one and coasting it. I've got them win this game 4-0 over Crystal Palace. Our next game sees Wolves host West Ham. 2 teams contrasting in form at the moment. It seems like West Ham a bit of turned of a corner, but Wolves struggling with these injury problems. And last time out, the disappointing 1-1 draw to Burnley. They had some big key chances, but couldn't take them, and they'll be ruining those missed opportunities there. It was Ryan Ait-Nouri, he scored once again. He's got 3 goals in his last 4 games, but he missed a key one-on-one chance there. He seems to be involved in everything good for Wolves at the moment as one of their only real clinical attacking options. I'm looking for Pablo Sarabia to lift his game, for Mario Lemina to push on and create from midfield, deeper lying area, because these are the key players that are going to have to stand up. Without those superstars, which you said, it's going to be tough for Wolves, but they're still in and amongst those sort of European competition places, and you never know right now. Some games, if you win a game and others around you drop points, you all of a sudden shoot up 2 or 3 positions. So it's really tight and congested in that mid-table there, and for Wolves, we just want to see them keep being competitive. And at home, we know they're a really hard team to beat. You look at West Ham, a very solid performance last time out. If you take away that last sort of 30-minute chaotic period versus Newcastle, they've actually put together here 2 quite consistently performance games. Against Tottenham, I was very impressed the way they sat in that deeper position. I talked in the preview, they've got to refine that defensive structure at the back, and they seem to have found that there. Starved Tottenham a real clear-cut opportunities, any real open chance of the goal, and really the only open chance they gave away early on was a goal for Brennan Johnson. And outside of that, they were very solid at the back. They exploited Tottenham's weaknesses from corners and were really, really solid in terms of getting on the front foot. Paqueta having the odd chance, Ward-Prowse from a free kick as well. And once again, this game here, I think both teams would prefer to play without the ball and trying to counter-attack. But I think West Ham get the edge because they've got Paqueta, they've got Kudus, they've got Bowen, they've got Mikel Antonio in great form as well. I think that's the real difference maker in this game here, where Wolves are missing a lot of their key forwards. West Ham have got them in. And as such, I see West Ham sneaking a 2-1 win here. It's going to be tight. It's going to be hard at times, but I think they have the quality to get over the line. So I've got them win this game 2-1. Our next game takes up to Merseyside for a big relegation 6-pointer here. It's Everton hosting Burnley. Who would have thought we'd be saying Burnley have a chance to stay up, but the performances have come in recent weeks, and it's been really exciting to see. Obviously, Everton, very, very solid last time out versus Newcastle United. They battled hard and they got the late penalty, which was converted by Dominic Calvert-Lewin, his first goal in what seems like over 5 or 6 months, which was massive for him and massive for Everton. They needed that point there to keep that little gap on the relegation zones, and the likes of Burnley, who produced another solid performance. They couldn't get that win. You heard that full time, the boos from the fans. They wanted that big 3 points over Wolves. Wolves are undermanned, understrength, and didn't perform well, and they really wanted that 3 points. So disappointing for them in that game there, but a chance here to go to Everton and really make a fist of this year. If they can win this game, they're absolutely alive here and a chance to stay up in the Premier League next season. So a lot of pressure on Burnley this game to produce. For Everton, it's nervy times at home. They've been inconsistent at times, still without a win in what seems ages, but a much better performance last time out. Can they take that on? Can they learn from that? Can Dominic Calvert-Lewin keep that goal scoring up? Can they continue to be robust in midfield there? Can James Garner continue to produce, and that's a deep lying position? That's the question we have for Everton. Can they put that in back-to-back games now? Because they put together some solid performances in recent weeks. The last game previously versus Bournemouth, they were solid as well in that 2-1 loss, but they just had that awful mistake with Coleman right at the end there that, just didn't give them the 3 points. In this game here, they took that chance when it came to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and they made the most of it. A massive point away from home versus Newcastle, and it's going to be a similar type of performance from Burnley here. Once again, the front line's dynamic, it's young, it's mobile, and I think that's where they're at their best. But I think a lot of the build-up play and defensive structure all relies on those two in midfield there, Sander Berger and Josh Cullen. When these guys play at their best, Burnley look good. When they're a bit off the pace, Burnley struggle. They're the two more experienced players. They hold it together in the middle of the park, and they're going to be so important once again in this sort of midfield battle versus the likes of Doucouré in there, alongside Garner and Onana for Everton. So whoever wins that midfield battle will win this game for me. I think it's going to be tight and congested, and two teams that do not want to lose the game. I expect it to be quite cagey, and whoever wants to go out there and try and win it, fair play to them, because it could change their season for the better. But with all being said, I think both teams will not want to lose this game, and as such, I see it being a 1-1 draw. The next game is at Villa Park. It's Aston Villa hosting Brentford. Villa obviously coming off that difficult loss to Manchester City, but the previous game before that, a big 2-0 win over Wolves at home, and I expected them to play in a very similar fashion here versus Brentford. Brentford, a team obviously that will sit in and be compact and make things hard for Villa, and with them resting Yuri Tillemans and Leon Bailey last time out versus Manchester City, I expect them to come in this game with a much stronger squad, ready to go and attack Brentford from the Goff. And they still had a chance here to get this top 4 spot with Tottenham slipping up versus West Ham. Both of the teams lost out in the midweek fixtures, so it's back to square one again, and Aston Villa will believe in themselves, and they'll want that top 4 position. It's just the rightful Champions League spots, not this top 5 stuff, and I get that top 5 makes it, but I think in their heart of hearts, they would love to finish in a top 4 position and definitely secure that Champions League football. It would be a great achievement for their season. I think this game here, I don't think Ollie Watkins will be coming back, but you look at Duran, you look at like a Morgan Rogers and these sort of guys, these younger players, looking for them to step up here and make a real impression. Obviously, Diaby and Leon Bailey will be the keys once again, using their pace, using their trickery and trying to link up and create in the absence of Ollie Watkins. And then also looking at that midfield there with Douglas Luiz alongside Yuri Tillemans. Can they be consistent enough? Because we know Brentford, the last 2 performances, 2, I guess, massive draws for them. They now sort of separate themselves from the rest, sort of feels like, with 2 impressive draws at home. But they've been tough to beat in recent weeks, and we know that midfield is, really highly underappreciated and the hard work they're doing there. But I guess for Brentford, they want to get anything out of this game. It's obviously be compact in midfield, deny Villa clear-cut opportunities, prevent them getting on the counter-attack, and then try and counter-attack yourself with Vissa, with Tony, with Mbeumo coming on as well. If these guys can be clinical and they can take their few chances like we're used to them doing over the last few years, they could cause some problems here for Aston Villa, who like to play a higher line, who like to be expressive. So you never quite know here. Brentford are always a team you can never really bet against because they always can do the unthinkable. They were fought out well versus Brighton, second best team, but still got a point. They were incredible versus Manchester United, not only just got a point, probably deserved all 3 points. So they're coming off two different types of performances, but impressive nonetheless. And it feels like a bit of the Brentford of old where they fight through, they get key points, they get out and do what they do best, which is pick up points when they don't deserve it, or pick up a 3 points where it's looking like it don't deserve to go their way. They're that sort of team. That all being said, though, I think Aston Villa performed quite similar to what they did versus Wolves. They'll scrap, and they'll get over the line in the end. I've got them winning this game in a tough 2-0 result. Our next game is in London. It's Fulham hosting Newcastle. And boy, Fulham are back to being that yo-yo club after 3 or 4 weeks of some sustained good football and some decent results. They go and draw to Sheffield United and then get battered first half as Nottingham Forest last time out. And we're back to square one now. Like, do we trust Fulham to put together multiple consistent performances? They're back at home. Do you back them at home? I don't know what to do anymore. Fulham, it's been the story of their season, ups and downs and ups and downs. That sort of rightly puts them around that mid-table, 12th or 13th type position. In this game here, I'm looking for those big players to step up. Bassi, Adarabioyo, and Palhinha for me. He was really unimpressive midweek. Midfield, you've got to protect that back four. I like how the fullbacks push on, but that means require the midfielders to have a bit more control. They didn't have that. The midfield was being bypassed way too easily. You need to get the likes of Reid back in there alongside Palhinha. And the likes of Alex Iwobi, very disappointing. Tom Cairney, very disappointing as well. So, I'm looking for more improvements in this squad. You couldn't go much worse in that first half versus Nottingham Forest. And fair play, they did come out second half and really give it a good fist and hit the post a few times. So, who knows, it could have been a quite different result, but the result speaks for itself. A 3-1 loss is disappointing away to a relegation candidate. I think they'll bounce back here, especially against a Newcastle side who obviously drew 1-1 last time to Everton. They were also very unlucky. They could have won that game and might not convince you the what chances they created. But you saw what Everton did. It made it difficult for Newcastle. They're lacking those key players at the moment. A lot are out. Basically all of them in the hospital at the moment. So they're very vulnerable at the current point in time. Looking like a tired team that's trying their best, though. I'd like to see the turnaround being quite impressive in the last few weeks. But I just don't think they have what it takes to get all 3 points here versus Fulham. Fulham will bounce back. They're at home. I think Newcastle just don't have the legs to keep going at the moment. And as such, they've got this game ending in a 1-1 draw. All right, next game is at Kenilworth Road. It's a massive game for Luton Town as they host Bournemouth. Bournemouth, obviously, the form team of the competition over the last 5 games. I think the best record over that period of time. Coming into Luton team that's desperate for a result, desperate at the moment to get anything. They've struggled in games. They've been competitive in games, but just haven't got the 3 points. And going back home, they'd hope they can get something out of this one here. And I expect them to make it really tough on Bournemouth. Luton are a very fast starting team. Bournemouth a team that works their way into games. So I think the key here for Luton, start strong early, be at them early. Like I say, how they play against all the big teams. Go at them early, get them on the back foot. Like you were against Tottenham, catch them off guard early on. And then from there, use your defensive structure, use that control midfield to try and grind out a result. And that's the key for them in this game here. And also utilise the flanks because you know how high that Bournemouth side can get up. Obviously touching on Bournemouth, they're the form side of the competition. Soft spot that I have in my heart for Bournemouth. They've played some great football this season under Andre Areola, and you saw his game management last time out in that impressive, 1-0 win over Crystal Palace, the way they were continuing to attack, and he made the right substitution. Semenyo comes on, Kluivert comes on, and those two link up for the goal that ends up winning the game. And that goes to show that dynamic front three, when you got Tavernier, when you got Kluivert, when you got Semenyo, and you've also got Dom Solanke up there, they're a very dangerous side. They've got that robustness in midfield there with Cook. And then I love Zarban. I love Milos Kerkez, Lloyd Kelly when he plays back there as well. It's just a very solid side all over the park. And I think, the form team, the competition for a reason, they make it hard for opposition teams and they attack really well with pace, with precision. And their finishing most often than not is quite good. So as such, it's going to be a real difficult back and forth type game. I think Luton, with their backs against the wall, are going to put up probably their best performance of the season. But I think Bournemouth are in some of their best form. And as I kept saying on the podcast, they're very close to European football at the moment as well. So they'll be pushing as well. As such, I see it being another draw this weekend. I've got this in a 2-2 score draw. Our next game is on the South Coast. It's Brighton hosting Arsenal. And Brighton obviously coming off another disappointing result, a 0-0 versus Brentford, where they should have won that game 2 or 3 goals to 1 or nil, where they just kept peppering the goal, but just couldn't find that final end product. And a sort of being a theme of Arsenal, of Brighton's season this season, it's just they failed in that final third to really make an impact on teams and cut up teams apart. And the last few games, they've really struggled to get the goals on the board. But you've got João Pedro back now. Simon Ndigra is a really good player. And obviously got Bonanote. That'll be the keys for them in this game here on the counter-attack, trying to expose the best defence in the league right now in Arsenal, who continue to keep rolling, haven't lost in 2024, and are fighting for that title. Very impressive 2-0 win last time out versus Luton, considering they rotated the squad heavily. You got the returns in Emil Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson in that squad as well, Eddie Nketiah having some play time, Zinchenko back at full-back, Thomas Partey reintroduced, and that's what I'm most excited about. Will they play Partey, Rice and Odegaard in this game here? Interesting to see. And then once again, you look to Kai Havertz once again to stand up. He's been ridiculous over the last month or so in terms of not carrying this Arsenal side, but providing those key moments and carrying the clutch moments. He seems to always be popping up at the right times in the right places to make the right choices and produce that end product, which Arsenal have been craving with Jesus struggling this season. So again, goes on to likes of Martin Odegaard to produce from that number 10 position, and likes of Kai Havertz from either the left or midfield or that false nine position to produce the goals as well. I think Brighton will make it hard for Arsenal, but Arsenal will find a way through. And Brighton, they won't be able to penetrate this unpenetrable backline at the moment of Arsenal. I've got Arsenal grinding out a 2-0 result and continuing the pressure to mount on Liverpool for the top of the table race. All right, we come to the game of the weekend, the Battle of the North. It is Manchester United hosting Liverpool in a massive game for Liverpool, for their title hopes, for United potential somehow long shot at the top 5 for Champions League. Obviously, United coming off now back-to-back shambolic, calamitous, comical type results. That late draw to Nottingham, to Brentford away from home, and then being 3-2 up in the 98th minute and somehow losing to Chelsea. So this team's mentality is at a rock bottom. Their belief in the manager seems to be at a rock bottom as well. If United are ever to pull out a result, it's probably this moment in time as well, off the back of that FA Cup result not too long ago as well. The last home game that United played was that FA Cup game and got that incredible 4-3 win. And, it's going to be quite similar in the fact that Liverpool have to be at their best to get any sort of result from this game, because United seem to turn up for these Liverpool games this season. Beating them in the FA Cup, could have beaten them in the league and were robust and tough to beat in the league as well. One of the only teams to hold Liverpool at Anfield this season. So, United a bit of a bogey team for Liverpool this year. But I think coming off that ridiculous 83% possession versus Sheffield United, dominating performance from Liverpool, Alexis McAllister continuing to perform, Darwin Núñez continuing to perform, and then Mo Salah doing what he does best. I can only see Liverpool winning this game. I know United at home, as a United fan, I should be believing in us, but Liverpool this season has just been ridiculous. And when it comes to it, Liverpool go over the line. You saw them versus Sheffield United as well. A goal out of nothing for Sheffield United. But what happens? Liverpool get back on the horse and get the goal. Last time out versus Brighton, they score in the first 3 minutes. What do Liverpool do? They attack for the rest of the game and get the win. So if United do go up, I think Liverpool will still keep charging back and get the result. Liverpool could have 70 or 75% possession this game here and just overwhelm Manchester United. And I think the game will be won in midfield with Endo, Szoboszlai and McAllister. They will overrun Casemiro, Bruno and Mane in my eyes. I think that's where the game could be won or lost. If United's midfield can stand up and produce, we know attacks for both teams to put the ball in the back of the net. It's who wins that midfield battle, who makes the least mistakes in there. And I think Liverpool have got that advantage. I can see them grinding out a 2-1 result. Again, it's going to be tough. And I wouldn't be surprised if United somehow nick a win or nick a result here, because we love a comeback performance. But Liverpool going for the title, Liverpool in the form they're in, Liverpool with the belief they have right now, I think they'll get over the line. And with some of the performances of McAllister, Núñez, Van Dijk, Bradley, how can you stop this team at the moment? All right, our penultimate game of the weekend sees Sheffield United hosting Chelsea. They were well and truly beaten, Sheffield United last time out versus Liverpool. But once again, getting on the score sheet, which is a good sign. They're not just easy beats. They're not just rollovers. Scored 3 past Fulham in a short period of time. They got a goal out of nothing versus Liverpool, so they can definitely cause Chelsea some problems. We obviously know Chelsea are a mistake-riddled side, and they rely on a certain Cole Palmer who came through clutch versus Manchester United with his hat-trick to get that 4-3 win. a crazy win for Chelsea. Great at the start, great at the end, and that's what won them the game. And individual brilliance from Cole Palmer. Can you rely on that in the future? No, but can it get them over the line here towards the end of the season? Absolutely. And they want to get European football. They're going to have to ride Cole Palmer all the way. I think he's going to be, once again, massive for this game here. Him, Gallagher, Malo Gusto, these sort of players have been informed, and they continue to carry this side here because there's too many passengers, too many poor players in this group to not have these three to perform at such a high level. Do you look to Mudryk? Do you look to Noni Madueke and Nicholas Jackson, these sort of players? I hope they can lift in this game as well to try and produce as well. But I think, as we come to expect now, it's going to come up to Cole Palmer and Conor Gallagher to do most of the work, most of the heavy lifting here for Chelsea. I think in this game here, whoever makes the least mistakes will win it. I don't think it's going to be an easy rollover result. Sheffield United at home are tough to beat. Chelsea now are just so used to. We're so used to seeing having great results, poor results, great results, poor results. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a poor performance here from Chelsea. But I think they'll just go over the line using the momentum of the last game in a tough 2-1 win. I think Sheffield United will make it hard at home. They'll use the crowd. I think the quality of Chelsea, especially Cole Palmer, will show in the end. That now brings us to our final game of the weekend in London. It's Tottenham hosting Nottingham Forest. Tottenham coming off a difficult 1-1 draw to West Ham. Once again exposed from a corner kick. You can see that's how you're going to have to get at Tottenham at the moment. They're really vulnerable for set pieces and corners at the moment. And outside of that goal they scored earlier, they didn't really create many clear-cut opportunities for a team that's supposed to be so expansive and so on the front foot. West Ham really shut them down there with that low block they played and were easily able to get at Tottenham on the counter-attack. And then Nottingham Forest, it will suit them to a T. They love counter-attacking. They've got Morgan Gibbs-White back in great form. I targeted him. I targeted Anthony Alango, and these two guys were very impressive last time out. Obviously, right now, Chris Wood's in the form of his life. He's producing at such a high level, which is great to see. They obviously rely on him as well. But obviously, they want to be nice and compact without the ball and just sort of spring the counter-attack on Tottenham. It was interesting to see Tottenham started again great for once, but then couldn't get a win, which we've seen in recent weeks. They've struggled to start games and come through second half and produce great performances to get over the line with late wins. And I think it's going to be something very similar again at home here. I expect Nottingham Forest to get at the blocks the quicker of the two sides, to get on top early. But Tottenham's second halves, especially at home, they're just so hard to stop. Brennan Johnson, Son, Werner, Kulusevski, these guys, they're just so hard to stop once they get into the second half there. Once the legs start to tire, they just outrun teams and use their pace to get the better of teams. And looking for the Spurs midfield to stand up a bit more, looking at Maddison, Basuma's in there, Papsar, Bentancur. We need a lift from these midfielders if we want to see Spurs excel at their best. I think Spurs go to the line here with a 3-1 win. I think Nottingham Forest will make it hard, as I said early on in this game, but Spurs' quality and Spurs' attacking football will just overwhelm Nottingham Forest and eventually get them the big result in this game here. Alrighty, ladies and gents, that brings my predictions for Matchweek 32 to an end. Sorry, it's a bit of a shorter one, a bit more rushed, but with so many games, I've had not much time to prep this video. With that all being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please make sure to smash a like on it, subscribe to the Players Zone channel, and press that post notification bell so you know when I upload next. Thank you for all the support in recent videos and podcasts. That is much appreciated. Hope you enjoy the weekend's Premier League and all football action. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the video very, very soon. Till next time, guys. See you later.